Imagine walking into a casino that hands you 100,000 chips at the door. No rules explained, no limit set. You'd probably think you got lucky. You'd be wrong. That is not generosity. That is a trap built on meritocracy. The short version: a system where people get power and resources based strictly on their demonstrated value, not their starting position. In this episode, the school gave everyone equal cash on day one to see who had the discipline to keep it. Class D failed. They spent their first month celebrating a victory they hadn't earned. Now, the screens show 0. You've been told this school is a paradise of equal opportunity, but the system doesn't reward equality. It funds your worst habits, temporarily, just to see who drowns first. Survival here doesn't require playing by the rules. It requires realizing the rules were designed to make you fail. The episode begins with a lie. A very famous, very comfortable lie. Ayano Koji opens by asking if all humans are truly equal. He quotes a famous saying about heaven not creating one person above or below another. Most people stop reading there. They take the comfort and walk away. Ayano Koji reads the rest of the text. The quote actually continues to say that immediately after birth, everything changes. Academic effort elevates some above others. Equality is a fantasy. We live in a meritocracy. We need to look at utilitarianism versus deontology. The short version: it is the argument over whether the ends justify the means. One side says actions are good if they help the most people, no matter who gets hurt. The other side says there are strict moral rules you can never break, even if breaking them saves the world. This school operates on pure, brutal utility. They do not care about moral rules. They care about who produces results. To enforce this, the school functions as a Panopticon. The short version: a prison design where a central guard tower can see every cell, but the prisoners cannot see into the tower. Because the inmates never know exactly when they are being watched, they have to act like they are always being watched. The students here are under constant surveillance, evaluated in real time. They police themselves out of paranoia. The architecture of this entire episode rests on a specific philosophical foundation. The title itself comes from a 17th century French moralist named François de la Rochefoucauld. Let us define a philosophical moralist. The short version: a thinker who observes human behavior to expose the selfish motives hiding behind supposedly good deeds. They strip away the polite stories society tells itself. La Rochefoucauld stated that it takes great talent and skill to conceal one's talent and skill. This is the exact dialectic of the episode. We are looking at a dialectic. The short version: a process of finding truth by putting two opposing ideas against each other until a new reality emerges from the friction. Here, the friction is between open display and hidden manipulation. The students who show off their talents immediately become targets. The one who hides his talent controls the board. Ayano Koji experiences his high school life not as an emotional journey, but as a series of clinical data points. When a girl gives him her number, he feels nothing. He just notes it as a pathetic event. This is the mindset required to survive this specific ecosystem. You cannot afford to view people as friends. You must view them through the lens of individualistic utility. Every single character is making an ethical choice right now. How do they rationalize their actions? Kita operates on extreme individualism. She sees other people as numbers, completely missing the emotional variables that drive them. She relies on absolute statements and insults to establish control. This is a massive social flaw. The school gave them the casino chips to expose these exact flaws. They wanted to see the gap between the stated values of equality and the operational reality of survival. Most people live their lives denying the reality of meritocracy. This institution strips that denial away in exactly 1 month. We are witnessing a meta-narrative about social structures. Let us define a meta-narrative. The short version: a big overarching story that a culture tells itself to explain how the world works and give its rules legitimacy. Here, the overarching story is a harsh critique of modern education and the myth of equal opportunity. The school is a microcosm of class warfare. Equality is a story we tell at the starting line. The school is not cynical for abandoning that story. It is just honest about when it stopped applying. Watch the water. The episode deliberately opens its primary narrative in the indoor swimming pool. It is a massive, luxurious facility that practically radiates institutional wealth. The sound design is filled with echoing splashes and the uninhibited laughter of free students. It feels entirely disconnected from reality. But watch the social geometry. The popular girls group together in the water, establishing their hierarchy. Ayano Koji stands completely dry at the edge, leaning against a pillar. Horikita approaches him with closed body language. There is a brief friction when Kushida interacts with Horikita, a tiny crack in the perfect surface. The school lets them play. The trap is already primed. Cut to the classroom. The atmosphere is stuffy, bright, and utterly mundane. The students are going through their daily routines, checking their phones, waiting for their monthly allowance. 100,000 points. That is the expectation. They think they are owed this. Then the screen updates. It flashes a stark, undeniable 0. Chaos immediately ripples through the room. The casino doors just locked. Chibashiro walks in. She does not look concerned. She wears a cold, deeply satisfied expression. She interacts with the smartboard, projecting the class rankings for everyone to see. The hierarchy is mathematically absolute. Class A sits at the top with 940 points. Class B holds 650. Class C has 490. Class D has exactly 0. Chibashiro delivers the verdict with sadistic precision. They have proven they deserve the bottom rank. They are the worst of the worst. She notes that never in the history of this school has a class blown through all their points in a single month. This is the introduction of the S system. It is a brutal architecture. The system evaluates students in real time and assigns them a numerical value. Let us define a microeconomy. The short version, a closed financial environment where a specific group trades limited resources under a strict set of rules. Here, the school has built a self-contained world where points act as the only valid currency, dictating both wealth and survival. The S system functions as an economy based entirely on merit, overlaid with the mechanics of a survival game. The surface mechanics are simple. The math is relentless. 1 class point equals 100 private points distributed to each student per month. Every class started the year with 1,000 class points. Class D lost everything. How did they lose it? Through the most mundane actions imaginable. Talking during lectures. Arriving late to class. Using mobile phones. The system bled them dry, one tiny infraction at a time. The system is patient. Hirata tries to negotiate. He asks Chibashiro for the exact criteria used to calculate the points. Chibashiro refuses. She tells them to figure it out themselves because this is preparation for the real world. We need to look at fiat currency. The short version, money that has value only because a powerful institution says it does, not because it has any physical worth. In this school, the points hold absolute power over the students, simply because the institution demands it, making the school a god that controls their reality. The points are a tool of control. The scarcity of this currency forces the students to adapt, but the stated rules are a distraction. The real architecture lies beneath. The official purpose of the system is to evaluate students and guarantee employment for graduates. The hidden purpose is vastly different. Let us look at game theory. The short version, the mathematical study of how people make strategic decisions when their success depends on the choices of others. In this episode, the school forces the classes into a massive, high-stakes competition, where cooperating with your own class and betraying the others is the only mathematically optimal move. The system was explicitly created to test adaptability and creativity under extreme pressure. It is designed to push them to the breaking point. It actively encourages betrayal. It fosters vicious competition between the classes. The school maintains its elite prestige through a very simple, very ruthless method. It expels anyone who threatens to lower its statistics. Failing an exam results in immediate expulsion. They do not fix weak links. They amputate them. Because the system tests creativity, it contains deliberate loopholes. These are not bugs. They are features. The system is meant to be exploited. Consider information asymmetry. The short version, a transaction where one party has significantly more or better information than the other party, allowing them to rig the outcome. In this episode, the students who realize the hidden rules early hold all the power, while the rest are essentially walking blind into traffic. The school actively recycles old test questions. This is not laziness on the part of the faculty. It is a calculated reward for students who figure out how to gather intelligence. You can trade information. You can manipulate scores. You can use social proxies to accomplish goals. You can literally buy academic survival. The school calls this freedom. Generous framing. When financial capital reaches zero, a new economy emerges. Let us define a social capital economy. The short version, a system where trust, reputation, and favors become a currency that you can spend or trade just like actual cash. Since Class D has lost all their actual money, their only remaining currency is their reputation and influence with each other. Kushida is wealthy in this secondary market. Horikita is entirely bankrupt. Let us analyze the macro-class warfare. The initial point distribution maps the strategic landscape perfectly. Class A has 940 points. They possess strong, organized leadership and high-quality human resources, but they have internal fractures, split between Sakayanagi and Katsuragi. Class B holds 650 points. They rely on the charismatic leadership of Ichinos and deep class solidarity, but they lack an aggressive strategy. Class C sits at 490 points. They are ruled by Ryuan's authoritarian grip. Their weakness is deep internal instability. And then there is Class D, 0 points. Their strength lies entirely in hidden potential, specifically Ayano Koji, and individual ambition, specifically Horikita. Their fatal flaw is a complete lack of cohesion. The S system forces these flawed groups into a fierce conflict. Let us define a zero-sum game. The short version, a situation where one person's gain exactly matches another person's loss, meaning everyone cannot win. In this school, for one class to climb the ranks and gain more points, another class must be pushed down and lose theirs. It is mathematical warfare. The sudden economic shock rewires the collective psychology of the class. The economic incentives provided by the system immediately shape their behavior. Yesterday, they were classmates. Today, they are liabilities. This is the true genius of the S system. It outsources the enforcement of discipline to the students themselves. The school does not need to punish Pseudo for being late. The class will punish him because his lateness directly drains their wallets. They become their own wardens. Let's look at the players left holding empty bags in this casino. Suzune Horikita operates on a framework of extreme individualism. Let us define extreme individualism. The short version, the absolute belief that you only need yourself to succeed, and everyone else is just dead weight dragging you down. Horikita views her classmates purely as numbers. She completely misses the emotional variables that actually drive them. When she attempts to force the failing students to study, she relies on absolute statements and personal insults to establish control. This is a catastrophic social failure. You cannot bully a person into academic excellence, not when they have 0 chips left to lose. Take Ken Pseudo. He is aggressive and defensive, but he is not actually lazy. He is optimizing for a completely different metric. Let us define metric optimization. The short version, putting all your energy into winning the one specific game you care about while completely ignoring everything else. Pseudo focuses his entire existence on basketball. He is intensely vulnerable to any attack on that dream. Horikita fails to recognize this fundamental value. That blind spot guarantees her teaching strategy will fail. You might think Kikyo Kushida is just the nice girl trying to keep the peace. That is exactly what she engineered you to think. Kushida is highly Machiavellian. Let us define a Machiavellian personality. The short version, someone who treats other people strictly as tools to get what they want, using charm and lies to hide their true intentions. Kushida hides a deep psychological instability behind a mask of universal kindness. She uses highly emotional, inclusive language to build immediate connections. She literally weaponizes empathy to disarm potential threats. She acts as the social glue of the class, but that glue is entirely fake. Meanwhile, Hirata tries to lead with democratic ideals. He is constantly frustrated by his inability to enforce anything. He is a formal leader with 0 actual power. The ecosystem is perfectly balanced for a disaster. Their alliances are purely transactional, and the social friction between Horikita and Kushida is a latent bomb, just waiting to detonate. You are probably watching Kiyotaka Ayano Koji and thinking he is just another bored teenager with hidden depths. That is the trap. That is exactly what the show wants you to think. We need to analyze an unreliable narrator. The short version, a storyteller who lies to the audience, either because they are crazy or because they are actively manipulating you. Ayano Koji is entirely aware of his audience. The audience only sees what Ayano Koji chooses to reveal through his limited internal monologue. He uses dry sarcasm constantly to lower the defenses of everyone watching. He maintains a passive appearance, letting others take the active roles while he simply observes the board. Look at the moment he gets a girl's phone number for the first time. The gap between his mind and his face is terrifying. Let us define cognitive dissonance. The short version, the uncomfortable tension that happens when your actions completely contradict your actual beliefs or feelings. Ayano Koji does not experience this tension. His internal thought is that the event is pathetic, and he notes he is not even happy she gave it to him. His external action is accepting the number with a perfectly flat, dead expression. He is experiencing his high school life strictly as a series of clinical data points. not as emotional milestones. He is walking through the casino, completely immune to the flashing lights. This clinical approach fuels a highly sophisticated intelligence-gathering methodology. He uses passive observation, pattern analysis, and conversational extraction to map the room. Let us define a predictive mental model. The short version: building a psychological profile of someone in your head so accurate that you know what they will do before they do it. Ayana Koji builds one for Horikita immediately. He identifies her primary motivation as seeking Manabu's approval and flags her social inability as a fatal weakness. He builds another model for Kushida, instantly identifying her manipulative capacity and hidden motives. These mental models become the absolute foundation for his long-term strategy. Then we look at his entrance exam scores. The numbers are impossible. He scored exactly 50 points in every single subject: mathematics, English, history. 50-50-50. Let us examine statistical probability. The short version: the mathematical chance of a specific event happening by pure accident without any outside interference. Scoring exactly 50 across the board is not a statistical accident. It is a deliberate mathematical construct designed to avoid unwanted attention while still ensuring admission. Manabu Horikita correctly identifies this anomaly. Manabu notes that it takes great talent and skill to conceal one's talent and skill. Ayana Koji does not hide his intelligence by acting stupid. He performs average with the exact same lethal precision that someone else might use to perform genius. To understand how he sustains this mask, we must look at his conditioning. Let us define emotional suppression. The short version: feeling an intense emotion but forcing yourself to push it down and hide it from the world. Ayana Koji is not suppressing his emotions. The evidence points to a genuine, terrifying absence of emotion. His internal processing is entirely clinical, devoid of emotional interference. The only feeling he registers is the cold, intellectual satisfaction of a successful strategy. This emotional absence allows him to operate on a different ethical plane. Let us define utilitarian objectification. The short version: looking at human beings and seeing nothing but tools to be used until they break or serve their purpose. He applies this philosophy perfectly. He sees Horikita purely as a tool for academic goals. He sees Kushida as a highly efficient tool for social proxy operations. He views Sudo, Ike, and Yamauchi as low-level pawns. Their only value is preventing the class from losing more points. He is not building a study group. He is assembling a toolkit. You know that specific cold feeling when a plan completely collapses because you trusted the wrong person? Horikita felt that. Her strategy was doomed from the exact moment she opened her mouth. Let us reconstruct the rescue. The operation had one simple goal: save Class D from expulsion. Horikita attempted to drag Sudo, Ike, and Yamauchi across the finish line using pure academic force. She relied entirely on intellectual dominance and insults. It failed completely. Let us define a pedagogical failure. The short version: trying to teach someone by making them feel incredibly stupid until they eventually give up out of spite. Horikita insulted her targets, ignoring their emotional variables, which guaranteed their absolute resistance. Ayana Koji watched this failure happen. He did not intervene to help her teach. He bypassed the teaching entirely. He initiated his own silent defense operation. He noticed a fatal flaw in the school's design. The institution deliberately recycles old test questions. Let us define an asymmetric information advantage. The short version: knowing a secret rule that guarantees you win while everyone else is sweating over the fake rules. Ayana Koji realized the school rewards intelligence gathering over actual studying. He executed a direct transaction. He approached a third-year student. He paid exactly 15,000 private points for the answers. He literally bought their academic survival. But here's where the genius is. He did not deliver the solution himself. If Ayana Koji handed Sudo the answers, Sudo would have rejected them out of bruised pride. Ayana Koji possesses zero social capital. So he weaponized someone who did. He chose Kikyo Kushida to act as his social proxy. Let us define a social proxy. The short version: using a highly popular person to deliver your product because the target audience already trusts them implicitly. Ayana Koji gave the test to Kushida and let her distribute it. Kushida's massive popularity easily influenced the failing students to accept the help. This maneuver requires mapping out the exact vulnerabilities of the targets. Let us define vulnerability exploitation. The short version: finding the exact button to press in someone's brain that makes them do exactly what you want without them realizing it. He used Sudo's desperate, singular focus on his basketball dreams. He used Kushida's pathological need to be perceived as the savior of the class. He used Horikita's obsession with her brother just to understand how she operates under pressure. The execution was flawless. Pseudo passed the exam. The entire class survived. Class D kept its mathematical potential to climb the ranks. And Ayano Koji? He maintained total anonymity. Let us define tactical anonymity. The short version, doing the heavy lifting to save everyone, but making sure absolutely no one knows you did it, so you never become a target yourself. Nobody in that room realized he pulled the strings. He acquired highly valuable information while keeping his position perfectly hidden. He didn't solve the problem. He moved the problem to someone else's hands and made them feel like they solved it. That is not just smart. That is a different category of intelligence entirely. Violence usually carries an emotional signature. Anger, fear, desperation. But watch the alleyway. Manabu Horikita pins his own sister to a concrete wall. He raises his hand to strike. Suzune is trembling, her entire arrogant persona completely shattered. Then Ayano Koji intercepts the wrist. What happens next is a terrifying display of institutional conditioning. Let us define institutional conditioning. The short version, when an environment drills you so relentlessly that your body automatically neutralizes threats without your conscious mind needing to wake up. Manabu throws a lethal backhand, and Ayano Koji dodges it. Manabu throws a roundhouse kick, and Ayano Koji blocks it. Every single movement is absolutely minimal and perfectly efficient. There is zero wasted energy. And worse, there is no emotion in his eyes. He processes a physical assault the exact same way he processes a math problem. He attributes these elite reflexes to piano and calligraphy. That is a dry, sarcastic deflection. The truth is written in his muscle fibers. You do not learn how to flawlessly parry a martial artist by practicing your handwriting. If you have read the light novel, you already know where this architecture is heading. But what is interesting is the structural problem the anime just created for itself. By altering class sizes and substituting characters, they changed the math for future voting exams. But the core strategy remains. The mechanics of the S system demonstrated today are the absolute foundation for every special exam to come. Buying grades is now a proven tactical factor. Let us define iterative adaptation. The short version, repeating a process over and over, learning from the mistakes each time to build a perfect machine. Ayano Koji just tested his first prototype. He will continue to refine his use of human tools on a much larger scale. Horikita will eventually be forced to learn these indirect methods to survive. The human assets he mapped today will absolutely be reused tomorrow. He did not just survive the casino, he figured out how to count the cards. We've been looking at this as a test of intelligence. That is a generous miscalculation. Let us define utilitarian calculus. The short version, the cold mathematical weighing of human lives against a desired outcome, where people are strictly numbers in an equation. The school did not build this casino to watch the students win. They built it to find out who was willing to cheat when the chips ran out. Class D thinks they simply survived the month. They think the game is just about passing exams and securing points. But look at Ayano Koji. He isn't playing their game. He is already looking at his classmates not as peers, but as disposable tools. The terrifying question isn't whether Class D will ever get their points back. The question is, what happens when Ayano Koji decides it is mathematically optimal to spend them?